Hey everyone, Saturn Beats here, and this video is a PSA, public service announcement to all producers, anybody that makes music or beats. Stop buying MIDI packs. Stop buying them, particularly from companies whose logo looks like a toilet tube or a toilet pipe. I'm not going to say their name because they often do copyright strikes, but their name rhymes with Schmunison Schmadio. You don't need it. Most DAWs, and this is what this video is really about, is to hopefully make you realize that you don't need these MIDI packs, especially if you're struggling with music theory, coming up with melodies or writer's block, which is a lot of the reason that people buy these MIDI packs. What happens is that oftentimes you'll come to a point where you're struggling to come up with melodies, you're struggling to come up with chord progressions, and so you start looking for shortcuts. You start looking for ways to break that writer's block, to figure out a way to be able to make beats, or maybe you're trying to improve yours. You feel like yours are weak. I'm here to tell you that MIDI packs are not the answer, particularly from a company like the company that we're talking about, because their MIDI chord packs, for one, are just trash. I mean, they're the most low effort trash that there could possibly be. Their drum MIDI packs are okay, but again, they're just not worth the money. It's much better just using the many resources and features available all over the web and in your DAW to get through that writer's block. There are many ways to inspire creativity. Your DAW has music theory features built right into the DAW usually. I use FL Studio, so I'm going to go ahead and show you an example here. And then we're also going to go into some other examples too of how you can utilize different plugins and things like that to really spark a whole new wave of creativity for you. So I'm going to show you something really basic and just show you a little bit of music theory that you don't even really have to know anything about music theory. It's just a simple rule in music theory. So if you didn't know, FL Studio has music theory features built in. If you go to the piano roll, I've got a flex plugin. I've got a flex plugin here with a sound selected, and I'm going to go right click it and go into the piano roll here. And then I'm going to go pick a sound, go into piano roll. And then if you click this arrow up here, then we go to view, then we go to scale highlighting. You can choose a scale. Now what I like to do, I like to pick a song that I like the sound of, and then I choose the scale that that song is in, and I can also choose like the BPM. So let's go for like 160 here. So let's just choose a scale. I was working on a song recently that was in C sharp minor. So let's go and choose C sharp minor. Now you see we have this grid here. All of these highlighted notes, the ones that are a little lighter than the rest, are the notes that are in that scale. Now it's extremely simple and extremely easy to build a chord progression from this. If you didn't know, the rule that you're going to follow is the 1-3-5 rule for building a basic chord progression within whatever scale you're working in. So let's say we start from the root note in the scale here. We have the first note, that's 1. Then if we want to make a chord out of that, we're going to pick the third note, then the 5th note. So you can just skip a note every time. That's going to give you the chord that belongs in that scale for that particular note. We can do it for the entire scale. So let's do the second one. Boom, boom. Then for the third. Boom, boom. So you see we've already got a basic chord progression built there. We can build the whole thing out if we want. We don't have to, but you know, you can build the whole chord progression out here. And then you can just play around with the chords, and that could be a really good way to spark some creativity for you. So we just do 1-3-5 all the way through. I'm not getting fancy with the placement or anything here because we just want to be able to hear the chords. So we've got the entire scale. So another tip about music theory is that chord progressions are written based on this. Sorry, my touch screen activated right here when I was moving my hands around trying to be expressive. So if you didn't know about music theory, chord progressions are written in a numeric format based on this right here. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is the 7 chords that belong to this scale. I forget the exact term for them, but each one has a name, and this is just in this scale, these are the basic chords that belong in that scale. We can modify these chords by adding things like sevenths, that's a 7th chord. You could also even add an 8th. You can get crazy and do things like add a 2nd. So there's all sorts of ways to make these chords. But anyways, you can just play around with that and come up with chord progressions that way. You can also just choose random chord progressions. So chord progressions are written in like a 1, 3, 5 or 1, 3, 6 or 1, 2, 4. What that's referring to is if it were going to be like, say, a 1, 3, 6, we would take the first chord, and I'm going to do the mute button here. So we would do the first chord, we do the 3rd chord, and then we do the 6th chord. So let's go ahead. Yeah, that's number 6. So let's see how that sounds. So we could just take that. Let's highlight those all and then go to a new pattern here. And then let's do something like that. Whoops. Let's do something like that. And then maybe like that. We'll just see how that sounds. I think the timing is a little off on that. Move that a little bit over here. So anyways, you get the idea. That's a really easy way to just get started on some ideas. Just pick up random numbers and, you know, choose. If we go back to our pattern here, you could choose 1, 4, 6, 1, 2, 3. You know, just experiment. And if you're really having a writer's block or you're struggling to make your chords more complex, these are all very basic mathematical music theory rules that you can use to really get the most out of what you're doing. So another tip that there is there's plugins that are actually music theory plugins that make it so much more simple. I've got a suite of plugins called the Captain Chords Epic plugin bundle here. And what it is, it's just chords that allow you to build chord progressions, melodies. This one I think is the best one. There's another one called Scalar. There's another one called Cthulhu. They all do basically the same thing. I feel like this one, personally, is the best one. This right here that I just pulled up is called Captain Play Epic. Let's choose like E flat minor. So what this allows us to do is just use our keyboard, or if you have a MIDI keyboard, every button on the keyboard is going to play a different chord that's within that scale. So it also has a ton of different sounds built into it. So we could do like just a lo-fi guitar here. So you can just play around there, and if you press the space bar, so you see how quickly I just came up with pretty sweet little. Let's pick a different sound. So you see how quickly I did that. I'm not going to go into explaining the entire suite of plugins because I feel like you can explore that on your own. But these plugins are specifically designed to make music theory and creativity and go into the next level with your music theory and creativity. Make it as simple as possible. I'll just show you real quick. If you pull out like Captain Chords, what I just did was Captain Play. Captain Chords also has that functionality built in. You can press the buttons and play different chords. So let's just go A minor just to show you real quick. So this allows you, I mean, there's a huge assortment of presets. You can do progressions. Let's go to a different pattern here. So there's rhythms. So you can just literally create progressions here. So it'll allow you to change up that chord. So that's not sounding very good, but you get the idea. It allows you to really just get deep in there. But yeah, I just wanted to show you that, that you don't have to buy these MIDI packs. I mean, I think we've all fallen for that trap where we are just struggling to come up with melodies, struggling to come up with chord progressions. And so we start looking for all these solutions. And there are some things that are really valid. I mean, if you use MIDI packs, or you use samples. I mean, those are perfectly valid ways of creativity. There's people that have made entire careers off of repurposing things that other people made. But that's a creative side of it, and that's supporting an industry that's not predatory. You know, the big thing about this MIDI pack industry is that it's very, very predatory towards new producers, towards people that are struggling. It makes all sorts of promises like it's somehow going to have you making next level bangers or pro level bangers. And the truth is there's just no shortcut to that. It takes years to get really good at this. Even with these MIDI chord packs that they have, you know, it's like you have this idea that, oh, I'm going to get these MIDI chord packs and it's going to be super easy to make progressions and stuff. But if you don't even know music theory to know what's going to sound good, you know, they just aren't worth the money, period. So that's all I really have to say today. I hope that helped you out and helped you learn a little bit about your DAW and other plugins that are available. Have a great day.